Okay, real talk. If you had told me at the start of this tournament that Malawi, at their very first WAFCON, would knock out defending champions Nigeria in the group stage, top their group, defeat Ghana in the quarter-final, and book their very first ticket to a Women's World Cup, I would have laughed. And yet, here we are. The 2026 Women's Africa Cup of Nations has done something remarkable. It has flipped the script, ripped up the rankings, and left Africa's traditional football giants watching the semi-finals from home. Nigeria, South Africa, Ghana, Ivory Coast, out. And in their place, we have Morocco, Cameroon, Algeria, and, yes, Malawi. 4 teams, 1 trophy, and a place at the 2027 Women's World Cup in Brazil has already been secured for every single one of them. This is not just a good tournament. This is a tournament that will be talked about for years. That's what's coming up. Welcome to Africa Link, the podcast connecting you to the stories that matter. I'm Lucy Riley, your host for today. Let's dive in. Wednesday promises to be massive. Morocco takes on Cameroon, while Algeria faces Malawi. 2 matches, 4 teams, all fighting for a spot in the final. And with the World Cup qualification already secured, WAFCON is doing what football does at its best, showing us that Africa's story is still being written. The underdogs aren't just barking, they're biting. Women's football in Africa isn't catching up, it's arrived. Joining me to unpack it all is DW's Glory Mushinge and football analyst Biola Soles Chukwu. Welcome to both of you.
Hello,
Hey, good to be here.
Biola, I'm looking at these final 4 teams, and none of them has ever won WAFCON because giants like Nigeria and South Africa were knocked out. I'm just realizing that history is being written, and especially for Malawi. If you had to explain to a casual fan why this specific tournament feels so historic for African women's football, what would be the headline?
Wow. This year's WAFCON has been incredible, but I think the headline would be chaos. Really,
Yeah.
positive chaos. It's been amazing, this WAFCON. I think it's probably been the most interesting we have had in years. Like you mentioned, history is truly being made. We know just, finger counting 3 countries have won the WAFCON ever. Nigeria 10 times. Of course, you can talk about Equatorial Guinea and then South Africa. So to see that Morocco have a big chance again, debutants Malawi can win, Algeria reaching the semi-finals can win as well. Cameroon, of course, who have some experience in the WAFCON, also have a shot to win their first title as well. History is truly being made. I think everyone has or would have liked to see a new champion over and over again, but Nigeria have really dominated this. We've all really wanted African women's football to grow, and it's obviously happening now.
And more on that, seeing the same champion over and over again. I know you're in Nigeria and you would be supporting your team. I mean, how does this make you feel?
Oh, as a Nigerian, it is all doom and gloom here, to be honest. I mean, we have never been in this position before, having to struggle to qualify for the World Cup. It really goes beyond winning the Women's Africa Cup of Nations. It's that World Cup qualification that is, the biggest thing here. And having to go through playoffs, which isn't very certain, it's very frustrating as a Nigerian. But, when I look at everything from a women's football enthusiast, African women's football enthusiast, this is so exciting. I'm one of those people who has wanted to see Malawi play at the Women's Africa Cup of Nations for a really long time, many years, and to see them finally play at the Women's Africa Cup of Nations and in their very first try, beat the 10-time champions, reach the semi-finals and qualify for the World Cup. It is really heartwarming to see. It is heartwarming to see the growth that is happening. But as a Nigerian, I am grieving. I am not going to deny that. I am hurt. I am burnt.
Oh, now listen, I am completely obsessed with the Malawi story as well. I mean, they are tournament debutantes. They beat the giants and now they're heading to the World Cup. Is this the greatest underdog story we've ever seen in WAFCON history? Or, am I just getting swept up in the hype?
No, it definitely is. I mean, we have seen a few good stories over the years, but I don't think we have seen it happen like this before. It's not, they didn't get here by luck. They beat Nigeria in their very first match. They have been getting to the semi-finals and qualifying. They have been very convincing as well. They have such, impressive players, the Chawinga sisters. Of course, we have to mention them, and they have been proving truly that they deserve to be here. So it is truly one of the greatest fairy tales, or the greatest fairy tale the WAFCON has ever seen. This particular WAFCON has had a number of fairy tales and a lot of big stories. It's the best we've had in years.
We'll talk about more about those fairy tales and big stories. But Gloria, I want to bring you in here. Malawi has never been to, a Women's Africa Cup of Nations before, and now they're in the semi-finals, going to the World Cup. How is this being perceived across the region, Glory?
Let me just say they have all the bragging rights. Malawi is a team that we know so well in COSAFA in Southern Africa. And I did say at the start of this tournament, I made a prediction. I think I wrote it down somewhere on my socials, and I said, it's interesting that this WAFCON has increased the number of participants from 12 to 16. And I'm particularly excited about Malawi and the Chawinga sisters. And I said there will be the surprise package that would turn this WAFCON on its head. And they have. Chawinga sisters, there are a good number, actually, not just the Chawinga sisters, in that team that play in big leagues abroad in Europe. And when I've watched her in the National Women's League there, she's almost head-to-head with Barbara Banda. They take turns leading the highest goal scorers. And so these are not sisters to play with. So I knew that because other countries, teams like in West Africa, maybe East Africa, North Africa, have never played with them because they hadn't gotten the chance to go to the WAFCON, they would think they would just walk over them. And so I was excited to see what they would do. And this is not a surprise for me. I'm seeing them in the finals.
And I hope you didn't. Did you place any bets? Because you predicted this, as you say, in your social story.
I should be betting. I would have been rich. Some of these predictions. Oh, my goodness. But yeah those ladies, Temo has this speed that only teams like Zambia that play with them so often would know how to tame. And that's how come you saw Zambia winning that game.
And listen, Glory, I have to talk about Zambia now that we are talking about Zambia, right? I mean, they had the best goal difference in Group C. They beat Malawi 2-1 in their final game, and they're still heading home. Is the CAF head-to-head tiebreaker rule fair, or did the Copper Queens get completely robbed of a World Cup spot? What do you think?
Oh my goodness. I'm trying to avoid being the patriotic Zambian, but let me just be neutral here. First of all, the way this rule came about and where it came from is just shocking, for starters. But I do understand what the explanation is about this. So firstly, they talk about the fact that it says rule number 71 or 72, somewhere there, which talks about the fact that when you have in the group a team that is very weak, that every other country is beating, at some point that team has to just go into oblivion, the way they did to Egypt. And when that team goes into oblivion, all the scores that you would have gotten out of that team will also disappear, right? So Zambia had the best game, the best first game in the group stage, and they won 6-0 against Egypt. Then the teams that followed only got about 3 each. Malawi got 3 against Egypt, and Nigeria got 3 against Egypt. And because it turned out that Egypt became the weakest team in the group, they had to forget about all the scores, and it became what you call a mini tournament between 3 countries, Nigeria, Malawi, and Zambia. And despite the fact that Zambia had the highest overall scores and they conceded the least goals, they fell short on the goal difference between the three teams, and that's how they went back home. So a lot of people are failing to understand that, but that's how it works. Now, that would be fair if you said that Egypt, everybody knew that Egypt was weak. People didn't know that Egypt was weak, you see? So who's to decide that that's the weak team? And if they were weak, as we say, Malawi, Nigeria wouldn't have conceded those goals because they did concede from Egypt, right? And so it became a little bit unfair. I think this rule for me is a no-no.
I hear you, Gloria. And Biola, Malawi has certainly stunned everyone. I mean, is this a sign that African women's football is actually becoming more competitive, do you think? Or is this sort of like a one-time story you see?
I think it is true that African women's football has become more competitive, and it didn't start with Malawi, really. I think from different editions, year after year, we have seen the consistent growth. Let me just look back to 2022. That's the last two editions. In 2022, we saw the rise of Zambia, and this is how many years after? Two editions after, and we have seen that Zambia has become one of the strongest sides on the continent. Let's forget what happened to them in the group stage, but they have truly become one of the strongest teams in Africa. We really saw them grow when they finished third in 2022. So that is a sign of growth. At the last WAFCON as well, we saw some growth, some teams growing. We saw some teams returning and doing well. Ghana, for instance, I don't think anyone saw that or predicted that Ghana would finish third at the last Women's Africa Cup of Nations. And then this year, Malawi come in and then stun the whole field, really. So it is showing a steady growth in African women's football. It does help that a lot of our players move abroad and, play in Europe, play in the NWSL, the biggest leagues in the world, and bring that experience to their various national teams. So yes, it is obviously a sign of growth. Of course, some of the big teams might be victims of that, but that's okay, really. What we need really is the growth of African women's football. We are looking at the semi-finals and we do not see Nigeria and South Africa, two of the most experienced teams in WAFCON history. That tells you a lot.
And let's talk about that semi-finals and more specifically on tactics. I mean, Morocco is playing versus Cameroon and Algeria versus Malawi. Who has the edge, and what should we actually be watching out for?
Yes, I think Morocco are definitely, of course, even before the semi-finals, looked like they had the edge. They are not only one of the strongest sides. They look very motivated. They look desperate, and they are playing at home. We have to look back to the fact that Morocco reached the final in back-to-back tournaments, playing at home as well. And I do not think they'll be hosting the next WAFCON. This is a big chance, maybe the last chance in many years that they will get to play in front of their home crowd and probably win it. We know how heartbreaking it was to lose from 2 goals up against Nigeria last year. That was shattering for them. So this is a really good opportunity. They have some of the biggest names out of the way, Nigeria, South Africa out of the way now. Of course, you can underestimate nobody else here in the semi-finals, considering the way this WAFCON has gone. But I think Morocco are definitely the obvious favorites. Playing against Cameroon have also returned, and they're really doing well. I think I didn't see that performance against Nigeria coming, to be very honest, but they were really solid in defense, especially. So Morocco will need to be careful. But this Morocco that I have seen so far, and with the crowd support, I want to believe they can get through Cameroon. Malawi against Algeria is that semi-final that is very hard to predict. Algeria, one of the best defensive sides in the WAFCON in the last couple of tournaments. And then Malawi, like I said, have stunned everybody. They are free scoring. They have multiple options of goal scorers. So how they can break through that Algeria defense will be one of the key talking points going into that match. So I would say Morocco and Malawi, really. Morocco and Malawi.
All eyes on Morocco and Malawi. And Gloria, I want to bring you back in here. I mean, we were talking about competitiveness, and I'm sure you were happy to hear Biola talking about Zambia and the rise from back in 2022. But I'm just curious how Zambia's run was at WAFCON, how it was just generally being received back at home.
I think the girls performed. They performed well. As you see in the first game, they were scoring for fun. It was 6-0, and Egypt didn't know how to answer back. Then came Nigeria. With Nigeria, I don't know. Again, I don't know what really happened. They played well, but Nigeria wanted it more because, as I said in the previous discussion, it was a matter of survival for Nigeria, and they were getting the flag back home. So they wanted to prove a point, and they wanted also to stand a chance to go to the World Cup. Too bad it's ended in tears, as they say. But Nigeria came full throttle. They were so physical as well, need I add? And it earned them a red card. You could have seen that's how much they wanted it, to a point where one of the players thought they would do what we say in football, take one for the team, right? And they did, and the result came. So in that game, Zambia didn't have a chance. No matter how much they played, they didn't have a chance. So we can't say so much. I know people are blaming them and saying that's the game that lost them the tournament and all that kind of stuff, but that's a story for another day. Then they came back. They came back strong with Malawi. And that's the Malawi team that wants it badly as well. Malawi has been ridiculed for a long time. Every time Malawians want to talk about football, you'll find these fans from countries like Zambia, South Africa, Nigeria, telling them they don't have a voice because they've never attended any international tournament and that kind of stuff. So once they found their way into the WAFCON, they knew they had to do everything to get to whichever heights they could. And we are seeing the results with them. But still, despite that result, Zambia emerged superior in that game. Too bad they didn't read the memo about how many goals they needed to score, because I could see in that game.
Yeah.
Do you know there was, yes, that's actually laughable. Do you know there was a bit of confusion? You could see the goalkeeper, the Zambian goalkeeper, dilly-dallying towards the end of the game. The wasting time and trying to hold on to the lead. And to me, it was as though she thought we've already won this game and we need to kill time. And that's what tells me the girls did not know that they needed to score more to qualify in that tournament. When they started, they were in a hurry and they scored in less than 2 minutes. Barbara Banda scored in less than 2 minutes. And after 3-4 minutes, she almost scored again. And as soon as they got the 2 goals, they relaxed. They had the prowess, they had the capacity to get more goals, but they relaxed. And I couldn't understand what was happening, because some of us knew that they needed more goals, right? And I was screaming, please, take the chances, take the chances. This is not a time to,
All right, yeah.
And they did do it. So I think they had what it took. It's just a miscalculation.
Interesting, Gloria. I mean, interesting. And I'm sure Biola would have a lot of things to say as well about, Nigeria. But WAFCON has not received anywhere near the media coverage of the men's tournament. And even CAF's own social media presence for this competition has been noticeably quieter compared to AFCON, Biola. I mean, does women's football in Africa have a visibility problem, and whose responsibility is it to fix it? I mean, I was having a conversation with some people over the weekend, and this was just a general observation about how WAFCON has been covered compared to AFCON, Biola.
Yes, I think it's just obvious that women's football in all levels always takes the backstage, unfortunately, and it's bigger here in Africa. I think we all have work to do, from CAF to the media. We as journalists everybody has work to do to put women's football out there. But of course, we have to talk about the stakeholders. CAF, this is your tournament. Do better with it. I mean, even from the fact that it was postponed from March to July was one of the biggest problems as well. That caused a whole lot of problems. We all have work to do, really. I think women's football is growing. I think more people are hearing about it, but we cannot relent. This is only the beginning. I think this WAFCON has given such a great showing. So we all have to push it, really. Every one of us has work to do.
Okay. Well, I want to do a quick fire, and I'm actually going to pose this question to the both of you, Biola and Glory. And both of you will give me an answer. So on the count of 3, I'll ask the question, and I just want to hear where your heads are at. So on the count of 3, who wins WAFCON 2026? 1, 2, 3. Go.
Morocco.
Aha! Oh my goodness. Interesting.
On the same page.
You're on the same page.
Yellow, you and my mind, yours and my mind.
So
Yep.
Something's happening.
Bets will be placed, huh? All right. Biola, which player at WAFCON should the whole continent be watching?
Temo Chawinga.
And who is your favorite African women's football player of all time?
Of all time, Perpetual Nkwocha. The goats, the absolute goats of the WAFCON and Africa.
Okay. All right. So we have to come to a close now, but I just want to give you both some final words to say, and I'll kick off with you, Biola. I mean, what do you think is the single most important thing African football federations should take from this WAFCON to improve women's football on the continent? Very briefly.
I'd say women's football is worth investing in. Focus on women's football and not just the men. I'll use Nigeria as an example. This is a team that has given us joy over and over again, better than their male counterparts, and still don't get enough attention. Everyone invests heavily in your women's football. It's always worth it. Morocco is an example of that. Simple.
Excellent. You would agree with that, Glory, right?
Exactly. We always talk about the fact that they need, especially financial backing, a lot of financial backing, and they need a lot more exposure. We have players, even Zambia, we have some footballers who are Zambian by birth, but they play in other countries. We need to tap into that talent, try to find a way of bringing those people home. Like other countries, I think even countries like Morocco and the rest of the other countries in North Africa do that a lot. They go poaching for their own people to come back from international football, like football in other countries and back home. And that's what you saw even during the World Cup, even for the men. Cape Verde, most of their players had to be brought from other countries, and that's how come they were able to shine. So invest financially in a way that you attract talent from outside the country for people that are supposed to be your own citizens, but are out of the country playing for other countries.
Wonderful. Well said, well put. Thank you very much, ladies. We have had football analyst Biola Solis Chukwu and DW's Glory Mushinge. Thank you for this discussion.
Asia.
Thank you.
Africa Link, every weekday here on DW.
Africans across the continent have been watching, cheering, and in some cases absolutely stunned by what has unfolded on the pitch. Meanwhile, Temo Chawinga and Tabitha Chawinga are Malawian sisters who are among Africa's most successful women's footballers. The sisters rose from humble beginnings in Rumfi, northern Malawi, where they often played football with boys because opportunities for girls were limited. Their success has helped raise the profile of women's football in Malawi and across Africa. This is what they told reporters after seeing off Ghana.
Yeah, for me, we are happy for our fans in Malawi. We're happy for everyone who is playing for us, and we are really happy to qualify for World Cup. As I said last time, I think in one of media, I say we was waiting for qualify for Africa Cup of Nations for a long time, and we did it, and we was also waiting for qualify for World Cup. Final message to Malawi, we are continuing to ask Malawian to playing for us and to support us, to cheer for us, and to give us morale, and more especially to support us. Yeah.
This tournament has made one thing clear. Women's football in Africa is no longer waiting for permission to be taken seriously. Wednesday's semi-finals will reveal who claims the ultimate prize. But whatever the outcome, Morocco, Cameroon, Algeria, and Malawi have already made history. Who has the edge to lift the trophy? Share your thoughts on Facebook and TikTok at DW Africa. Listen on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts, and subscribe to our DW Africa YouTube channel so you never miss an episode. This show was co-produced and edited by Isaac Mugabe. I'm Lucy Riley. Bye for now.
DW. Made for minds.